phone. Greetings to all of One Grind Nation. We're live. Stabchats. This is our second kind of, it's not the second Stabchats, but it's the second edition where we've kind of teamed up with OGN and Stabchats to bring you content. We're committed to do it kind of on a monthly basis. That's our promise to you guys. So I'm getting situated here. Hold on, go for a minute. I'm just trying to follow you guys' comments as well. We're going to let people have some time to get in. Right now we got about 4 people in the stream. But we'll let Darcy welcome. We'll let a few more people come in and get situated before we kick it off, because we don't. Travis, welcome to the stream. We don't want to really get started until people have a chance to join. My main left-hand man, Royce, welcome to the stream, buddy. Very good to have you. So, like I said, we'll just get situated and give people a few minutes, but that'll be good. And we'll let Isaac take over. We'll give people 2 more minutes to kind of jump in. If you have questions based for myself, Isaac, or Kat, go ahead and type them in the chat now, and then we'll see about answering them for you in due course. Not committing to get to every question, because that's not necessarily how Stabchats works. But if we do have time, we'll try to make sure to get to your questions. So we don't want to. Well, the reason why we took it to this forum was to be interactive. So yeah, there you go. 1 more minute and then we'll kick it off. I see more and more people kind of getting in. Yeah, Royce. I'm passing on that good juju for you. Try to land another mathematician. Now I landed a mathematician on the lefty Boardman. So yeah, I'm saying. So, it was good fun. Good fun. But, yep, like I said, another minute, and we'll kick it off. Mostly it's awesome you guys are here, but we'll get the recorded content up and out for everyone as well, because we know everyone can't be here in the stream, but we wanted to make it available for questions too, so that's kind of why we're doing it this way. And welcome, Anna, Royce. Already welcome to Royce, and then Alexander George, welcome to the stream. And Paul.
What up, Paul?
Welcome, buddy. All right, so I think we can kick it off. I'm going to turn it over to my bestie, one of my besties, Anatole, to do his thing. Get Stabchats going. And take it away, buddy.
All right, guys. So what's up, everybody in the OGN? As Dalos mentioned, this is our second Stabchats OGN hybrid podcast, videocast, whatever this is. And last one we had Sir Michael Hammer of God on. It was really good. We got really inspired, and we wanted to do another one. And when we were thinking about who we can get on, there's all sorts of really inspiring warlords and really inspiring sword knights and people that are on that path. But James Dalos, suggested Kat. And Kat, for those that don't know, is one of the OGs of the OGN. She's on the grind. How many times a week, Kat?
Usually 2 times a week for practice and park day or double park day to Tucson.
So 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is incredibly inspiring. And not only is Kat putting in the work, but she's putting up videos. She hashtags like a boss. And it's inspiring. It's inspiring all of us. It keeps us motivated, and it connects us. So, hell yeah, we decided to have Kat as our next guest here. Kat, when did you get started in foam fighting?
I actually started back in California around 2010.
And what group was that specifically?
I was at Thor's Refuge in the then Principality of West March.
Is that in Sacramento?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Up in Sacktown. And how did you discover AmpGuard, first and foremost?
I actually went to a college demo at a community college I was attending at the time. And the guys from Thorn's Refuge were out there kind of repping, explaining what the game was. And from there, we decided to go make weapons and hit each other in the backyard with couch foam. And I had to come out to the park the following week. Couch foam, couch cushion, shields, bamboo cores. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Badass. And so you got started back in the day. You kind of did it on your own. Had you ever played any combat sports or done anything similar prior to discovering AmpGuard?
No, I did not. I was a hermit that played video games a lot when I discovered AmpGuard, and I never really did like organized sports or any of that. So it was the first time I
Would you mind repeating that last part? My feed broke up a little bit. Just the last couple words there.
My latency on my end. It was the first time that I encountered something that was a lot of fun, and you didn't realize really.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're still having a little bit of latency issues here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn off my camera and see if that helps out real quick.
It would be maybe her camera, Isaac, because you were coming through clean. She was coming through a little laggy. So maybe if you want to kill your camera, Kat, just so we can see if that helps with the latency.
Yeah. Does that work?
Yeah, you're sounding crisp now. It's fine.
Sweet.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
So, Kat, when you got into AmpGuard, was fighting immediately? I mean, it sounds like you kind of jumped in head first, but was fighting your immediate focus, or was it other aspects of the game?
It was my first focus. I kind of drifted away from that later, but I kind of wanted to be a badass, killing people on the field, and I pursued that. I did a lot of practices while I was up there. Like I said, I just kind of fell off for a period there.
Oh, yeah. But fighting was your first love.
Yes, absolutely. It still is my first love.
First is the best, right? So you've not only been fighting a lot, you've not only been putting in a lot of work with like fighter practices, but you also do these like Kingdom Fitness challenges, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Last year I ran one, and this year I'm running one. It's just kind of become a thing. The fitness challenge is basically centered around, I found fitness through AmpGuard when I was younger. And,
Same, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I hadn't really been really active when I was growing up or anything like that. So I felt like it was something that I could do to maybe get some people who are already in the game and have access, going out to park day, getting some cardio in, a way to kind of compete with each other, motivate each other, and keep making progress and personal growth. It was something that I felt that I could do to help enrich the community.
Right on. And so obviously you work out and stuff to supplement your fighter practices. Anything in particular that like you workouts or anything that you've been doing that you feel like helps a lot, just besides generally exercising, any types of exercises, any workout regimens that you really, really adore and feel like have a positive impact on your fighting?
I think squats, number one, do as many squats as possible. And interval training, which someone gave me a really good workout that I could try at home. And it was killer the first time I did it, but it's been really helpful as far as giving me a little bit more extra upper body strength.
Sure.
And for sure, it's made my shots a bit faster.
Okay.
I've noticed. But that person was you. So I've been doing that pretty regularly, and it's really helpful.
Right on. I'm glad to hear that. So for those that are wondering right now, there's a workout that was designed for me by Joel Whitney, who's kind of a personal trainer. I've had him on Stabchats before. And it came out of the need to, well, I just wanted to hit people a lot more and a lot faster and a lot harder. So we designed a really killer short interval workout. And if anybody is interested in that, hit us up. I can definitely share that. So, Kat, I think one of the things that I find most inspiring about you, and I'm sure Dalos will concur with this, is that you openly embrace improvement. You're not afraid to put yourself out there. You're not afraid to post videos of yourself for review. You're not afraid to say, hey, I'm on the grind right now. I'm working through this, or I'm working through that. And I think that's critical. I think that's incredibly crucial for progress. So what has this journey been like for you? What advancements do you feel like you've made? What are you working on currently? I know that's kind of a whole bunch of different questions and we're jumping around here. But I'm just really fascinated by kind of like your thought process and where you're going and what you're focusing on at the moment. Does that make sense, or is that rambly? A lot. Dalos, can you hear Kat?
Nah, she's got a little latency going on again on her end. It's on her end again because I can hear you just fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Who's watching Netflix?
No worries.
I'm out in Timbuktu in a trailer park, so the latency is a bit of an issue.
Oh yeah, you're back to fine.
That's all right. That's just how New Mexico is as a state.
Yeah, we can work through it. I think you're coming in fine now.
Fine now?
Yeah.
Cool. Would you mind
all right.
repeating what you just said? Yep. Did we lose her?
Yeah, we lost her. Ashley's trying to come back.
Yeah, you got me again. I'm just lagging a bit, it seems.
Okay, yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
So, what kind of made me start doing this was because I came to the realization that if I just kind of do things on my own and don't share it with anyone, they're not going to know that there's other people out there doing this, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It took a little bit of like getting over anxiety, like what people would think. You know, I'm posting these videos. I'm such a like noob fighter, whatever. But I think if you look at it from the perspective of, you know, maybe there's somebody out there who just had their first day at AmpGuard and they're afraid of fighting, and they see this video of somebody fighting who may not be, you know, a warlord or a sword knight, but they're still putting themselves out there and doing the thing no matter what anyone else thinks. I think that might motivate them to start asking questions about fighting or start getting into fighting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Yeah. Do you want to comment on that, Dalos?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually like a super good point because there's, you know, after you've been fighting for a while, then you know something, you know more than, say, the new person, right? And the best way to learn anything is to teach the parts that you do know to other people and, you know, see where you have holes, where they have holes while you're teaching them. Obviously, you do it in such a way as you're not trying to come across as the expert all the time. But you're like, hey, I like to try this, and what do you think? And you really get that back and forth going. And that back and forth and that kind of feedback to each other is really like the foundation of how very good fighters that are kind of in a clump start. You know, we'll talk about it all the time. We don't really talk about it all the time here, but that has been going on for a long time for us as well. You know, there's a reason why there's concentrated places like Santa Fe, like Denver, like Denver and like Dallas, where there are good fighters because there's that constant feedback and working to get better. And getting someone else better only helps you get better. So I think that's super important, and it helps you learn as well.
Yeah, we've always talked about, it's way easier to keep people down. It's harder to bring people up, but ultimately it's the best thing for you, because if you bring them up, they hold you up as well. And I think that's additionally important to put yourself out there and to really critically analyze yourself and make yourself available for critique, because, you are your greatest opponent. And if you're not willing to take a very critical look at yourself the way you would, if I'm preparing for SKBC and I know that Dalos and I are going to throw down, if I'm not going to assign the same amount of analysis to Dalos as I am myself, first and foremost, I'm already at a disadvantage. I'm already inhibiting my growth in that way. So I think that's very valid. Incredibly valid. Great point. And a great point for people that are on the grind, people that are trying to come up right now. And honestly, people that are already there or feel like they're already there. So, Kat, can you share with us some of your inspirations? Not necessarily warlords and sword knights and stuff like that, but people that you've invested in and that have invested in you, and how that's paid off.
I think there's two people that kind of come to mind right away.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah,
not late.
Great. That sounds
okay.
great.
The first one would be the first woman that I really saw fighting in Amtgard, which was Scarab. If anyone has met her, like, she's a super cool chick, very chill. She started in Sacramento, and I fought with her a bit while I was there, and she was really an inspiration to me because she came from a background of organized sports, and she understood how the practices worked and, like, basically the process of how to get better. And it was really cool just seeing somebody who was so energetic and so into fighting. It was like contagious. It made you really into fighting, like, yeah, I want to go to practice, So she was really a big inspiration for me for Amtgard fighting. The other person that I think is making a big impact on me now is one of our own, Chris. Her Amtgard name is Taria. She started coming out to our practice brand new, like very green. We showed her shot locations the first time she came out. And she has come out consistently since then and continued to improve in her fighting, take lessons really well, take losing well, and have a good attitude about it and see it as a learning opportunity rather than, oh crap, I'm losing all the time. That has kind of inspired me to keep going because I can see somebody that I'm trying to help with the knowledge that I have come up and start to get to the point where she can the basics to other people. And I think that's really inspiring.
Awesome. Now, another thing that I think is really interesting, and, Dalos has been playing Amtgard way longer than both of us. So, James, feel free to chime in on this with your perspective. One of the things that I think is so inspiring and so heartening to see is the increase of female fighters, as opposed to, hell, even 6 or 7 years ago. It seems like now there's, a way more inclusive, less kind of, misogynistic culture, if you could say that, around Amtgard, and especially with fighting. It seems like there's way more of a culture of sharing with everyone. Have you ever, what's that experience like for you? What has been some of the obstacles, or maybe have there ever been any obstacles associated with fighting and being a woman in Amtgard?
I think there are still maybe some obstacles. Back when I first started, I really feel like there were, because I don't think they were a created culture. There obviously are areas where there's sexual harassment problems or guys being creepers or whatever.
Sure.
And I think that our culture has gotten better at dealing with that and punishing that and showing that that's not okay behavior. But there are some kind of mental hurdles I think that women have gotten over in the last 5 years in AMP
Really?
that has helped. Like, to give you an example, I think the first tournament that I ever competed in, there were 2 total women, and one of them was Scarab, and the other one was me, and I never really fought in a tournament. I just did a tournament in Tucson that was a mid-reign or Dragon Master tournament, and there were 10 women in that tournament.
Wow.
In a kind of small park, but it wasn't like a kingdom level event or anything like that. But that was a lot of women compared to what I had seen in the past. I think that's a sign that the culture is changing. The barriers are kind of coming down that were there.
Right. James?
Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
No, please. We love tangents. And that was well said. Definitely well said. James, what are your thoughts? What's your perspective? How different is it now as opposed to maybe when you started playing?
When I started playing, serious fighting wasn't even really a thing. Ditch battles were interruptions to battle games, and mostly they didn't happen. Like, literally, you would see very little sparring. You would see battle games, and the tournaments would come, but mostly it was battle game, and that was it. In a day you get 3, and maybe there'd be a small ditch in between. And as the game grew, people started taking the fighting more seriously, or more people started taking the fighting more seriously. Then you start seeing, more sparring and stuff like that, and it kind of. It happened earlier in Austin maybe than it happened in some places. I know it happened in Dallas maybe a little before Austin. But, with Harry around and Joe around, myself, and the torches forming and really having a desire to be very, very good, practice was the natural progression into being very good. So, but even then, I wouldn't say we focused on it. Like, nowadays we fight 3 times a week, every week, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We were nowhere near that. Back then, we'd get our weekly park day in, and that was about it. But we did focus on ditch battling more and getting better and learning. But now, not only are people practicing 3 times a week or more, like the crazy guys in St. Louis, but we're working hard as a game to make everyone better. Like, you made the good point that you don't have to step on someone's head to get up, and really it's better to make them better because they'll just elevate you as they get better. It's an old saying that you don't have to blow out someone's candle for yours to shine brighter. If 2 candles are shining, it's even better for you. So that's, I think, what's important, and I think that's what our culture is evolving into now. And I think that energy started with SKBC1, and it's kind of gotten better and better every year after that, where people are really looking to help other people. People are looking to put out videos that help other people. If you ask anyone on the field, almost anyone on the field, can you show me how you did that or whatever, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say absolutely. And I would say even up to 15 years ago, that might not have been the case. But now that's happening a lot more. And it's really good. It's good for you to put that positive energy out there. It's good for the game in general to help other people. So I think that's the significant difference now. I think SKBC1 was the real push. They talk about throwing the stone. SKBC1 was under 100 people, but that stone made a ripple in the pond that spread and spread and spread, and now it's huge, right? It's become a big thing where things like OGN are possible. Where people care enough to want to get better enough to, tune into streams and watch videos, to read articles and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was where it started. That was a big catalyst.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's a good segue into some SKBC plugging. Kat, what SKBC classes have you already registered for, and why?
Oh man, I've already registered actually both my days.
Hell yeah! You
No,
see that?
I'll
A
pick.
faithful
I did
soul.
that. I did that as soon as registration opened.
Such a boss. Such a boss.
But I'll just pick like a couple that I picked because they're a little,
Okay.
I guess, strange, or at least one of them is strange. I took combat computer because I really wanted to take that class. I keep hearing like really good things about it. This will be my first SKC, so I think it's a good time to really just jump in.
Is that yours? Is that yours?
I took kind of the standards. Huh?
Did you take Imran's
Is that
combat computer
Dalos'
or
combat
mine?
computer?
Sorry, did I
Which
lag
combat
out
computer are you
again?
taking?
Yeah, your answer.
No, you're good.
But you're good now.
Which are you? Yeah, I can see here on the registration. She's taking yours, Dalos.
Okay. I have been teaching that for a
Yeah.
little while.
All right. So
I tried.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. My bad. Go ahead.
I tried to take one or two classes that I really wanted to take and then kind of spread out over different instructors because I do see, some of the guys from New Mexico quite often, some of the guys from California and stuff. So I didn't want to take all classes of people that I knew because I wanted to kind of get a good spread. See that
Smart.
all.
Very smart. Yeah.
And I took one class that I think might be like, most people would expect me to sword because I fight flow most of the time. But I also took down spear and short. I really played with it, but I've never fought competitively with it, and I thought it would be an interesting step outside my comfort zone.
Nice. I think I missed your comments on why you chose combat computer. With
I'm
my
sorry.
boy here.
I chose combat computer because I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp of the fundamentals, like the footwork and moving and understanding my range. But I think something that I really need to work on is thinking while fighting or understanding what to do in certain situations rather than just reacting.
Okay.
I'm finding myself getting real close and then just reacting to that instead of responding.
Right. Yeah, I tend to think that there's a difference, especially in fighting. The longer you fight and the more kind of mental energy and analysis you devote to it, you learn less to react and more to respond. So, for example, if somebody throws a high cross at you, your reaction is to block the high cross or move or whatever. But a response is throwing maybe, I don't know, like a dark side underneath it that not only blocks the incoming high cross, but allows you to counter as well. I don't know. I've always felt that I felt those two were kind of different, and I've heard different opinions. What do you guys think?
I would say that that's.
Do you feel like there is a difference between responding and reacting?
Yeah. So it's funny the question being phrased that way because I sometimes make fun of people for being reactionary fighters, meaning that they'll only move if you move, and responding is different. And I think part of what you try to do is create the scenario, right? Even if you aren't the first one to swing, you're creating the scenario where it's advantageous for you to swing. And, that's what combat computer is about. So it's good that she's taking that class. She has the right idea. You use movement and, tricks and range and all kinds of different things to invoke a response that then you can then respond to. The obvious ones are like, oh, here's bait, right? Swing at it. Well, that's not going to work for very long. People are going to figure it out. So you have to get very creative with how you do that. And then to your question, then you have a response already in your head, right? You're not reacting. You're going, one of these three things is going to happen when I do this. I know that. And so I have a response for each one of those three things. And then when you get really good at Combat Computer, it builds from there. And you actually end up with like a whole list of responses. So, I mean, I think that, the choice for the class was really good. Regardless of whether it was me or Imran, I think it would have been fine, but the choice is good.
Right on. Yeah, I think as you know, as we equate most things in fighting to MMA, since we're such freaks for it, I think I hear that kind of called in MMA like fight IQ, or fight control. And when they talk about somebody that's extremely technical, like a Frankie Edgar or a Demetrius Johnson, who's constantly pushing the momentum, constantly engaging, constantly has the lead, and he's doing so through many forms. You know, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the UFC, I think it's strawweight champion. She, you know, these people are talked about as having enormous fight intelligence, enormous fight IQ. Is that kind of what you feel Combat Computer is comparable to?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. You know, there's all kinds of information that's available to you in a combat situation, both in MMA and in our sport, that you should use to help you formulate, like I said, the situations that put you at an advantage. And what Combat Computer's primary thing is, what are those key information things that I should be paying attention to? You know, what should I do with what they give me? How should I respond to that to then put them in a situation where I'm at the advantage? You know, it doesn't mean you win every time. It just means you are put in a position to win every time. Because, you know, there are plenty of ways to lose, right? There's plenty of ways to win as well, but you gotta understand. You know, to me, just real quick, because we like rants, like you said, to me, if I go into a fight and I trade 17 high crosses with someone and I win that fight, nobody won that fight. I didn't really win that fight. They didn't really lose that fight. We both did unintelligent things until, like, someone was dead. So, you know, that I try to avoid fighting like that at all costs, because especially as you get older, the more shots you're throwing, you know, the more mileage you're putting on your elbow. So, you know, you want to fight with your mind and keep it sharp and with economy of motion, but effective motion. And I think that the MMA, they do the same thing. You know, you're going to punch yourself out if you're just raining blows the entire time. And you know, only Diego has the motor to do that in our game. Just throw continuous shots. So,
right.
I mean, other people might, but Diego definitely does.
To build on that point too, I really like the way you described. The scenario about throwing like 17 high crosses at somebody. I think what's interesting about that too is the difference between the difference in positive reinforcement between winning a fight and development. You know, I feel like it's kind of what you want to go into it. Some people love throwing 17 high crosses, getting one, or doing better than that, and going home and considering that a win. But it seems like you're only positively reinforcing that one technique or that one scenario, or that it's where getting into a really kind of ugly high cross battle is appropriate. Whereas perhaps what you should be doing is finding other little goals that positively reinforce what you're trying to develop into, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe thinking, okay, well, this fool's going to throw, 17 high crosses at me. I'm probably going to get caught up in it. But, maybe my real goal is utilizing a little bit of footwork, using that shift, blocking with some movement. as opposed to just always winning. And if I lose, no big deal, but I accomplished my goal. I positively reinforced another step in the progression towards me getting better. I think is really important to keep in mind, perhaps.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No, I agree with that. I'm waiting to see if Kat wants to chime in.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What do you think, Kat?
I definitely agree with that. I think when you go into a fight, especially when you're new and when you should always be learning, honestly,
Yes.
but anytime you go into a fight, yes, winning is fun, but the other goals that you have, like, maybe you're working on taking a step to the right whenever your opponent does X. Like, if you manage to do a personal growth win as opposed to just a kind of, a fight win. A personal growth win is in the long run, I think. And it's something that's constantly rewarding. You may not win 10 bouts in a row, but what if for those 10 bouts in a row, you did the exact thing that you wanted to do that you're working on? That's a personal win for you, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
You will grow significantly once you decide that it's not always about winning, which seems counterintuitive, but it really makes like all the difference in the world, because you don't. You can learn a ton from your losses, but you won't if you're so focused on winning that if you lose, it's the end of the world. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I lost. Whereas instead, you could be going, all right, this, and this happened, and that led to me getting hit here. But I wonder if I tweaked this knob and I just changed one thing, would that make a difference? And then you go in and maybe that knob doesn't win you the fight, but then you tweak other knobs. That tweaking of the knobs is where the fight IQ comes from. That's where the real skill in the game comes from. But if you're always like, oh my God, I lost again, then you screw yourself out of all that learning. On top of that, you could go home and go, oh man, I learned a ton of stuff today. That was awesome. Or you could go home and go, I lost almost every fight. That was like the worst day ever. And then your hobby has ruined like half your day or all of your day instead of like helping you build and be positive about what you're doing. It's just a change in mindset. That's all it is. But that change makes a ton of difference. And you'll see significant growth if you can just shift your brain to work that way.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Well said. Definitely. What other classes are you looking at there, Kat?
Oh, I think I'm taking range on, and I go.
Hey, Kat.
Interesting to take.
Kat, you're kind of breaking up. Did you say range and openers with James and Eric?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. I'm a little upset that I'm teaching during that slot. I kind of want to go take that class.
I thought it looked really interesting.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And since range is now something I'm playing with, I'm really interested to see what Eric's take on it and the he said it earlier and I forgot his name already.
That's Dalos.
It's me. You're lucky you're in two of my classes.
Oh. Busted.
I'm sure Bob will forgive me.
I don't know. He's called the unforgiving.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. If I can just plug that class real quick, for everybody out there that may be kind of wondering what class. I mean, they're already at 33 enrolled out of 20. So good luck with that, James. But
yeah.
For anybody out there that's still wondering what's going on, and still wondering what to do, that is a really, really interesting class. And it's because it takes two fighters that in some ways are very different, but fundamentally do some things that are very similar in innovative, very creative ways. Unorthodox. I would definitely say unorthodox. If I was a smart man, I would find a spot in that class, reserve it, and then auction it off to other people. No, I'm just kidding. I would totally take that class. Additionally, because, you know, Shion is my main training partner, and Dalos is almost like a training partner and a coach in a lot of ways. And so that class right there, good choice, Kat. Really good choice.
Yeah, if I could take a second, like, I'm super excited about that class. It's something that we in the dojo have kind of focused on off and on for the last 6 to 8 months, and kind of how the people in the dojo respond helps me shape what I want to do at SKBC, because I have a range of skill sets, right? I have all the way from Anatole and Shion, who are obviously very, very skilled, and Sponge also, you know, and then you come down to Jamie and to Morpheus, who are newer, still skilled, and you also have different body types. Like I have Noah, who's skilled but has a different set of circumstances to deal with, right? So the formation of the dojo, the way it's built, helps me just because I have so many different personalities and fighting styles, and I have to figure out how to give them all things that are useful, both as a group and individually. And because my teaching juices are flowing all year here anyway, and then also helping those guys, it really helps me determine what to do. And range, I decided was very important. I mean, obviously it's very important, but something I really wanted to focus on this year, enough that I would decide to teach a class specifically on that. And I thought, for the reasons that Isaac mentioned, Eric was a very good choice. Shion was a good choice for that class, because he uses range a lot, but in a very different way than I do, in some sense, but in a very similar way in other senses. So we're going to tackle it from multiple perspectives, I think, and I think it'll end up being very, very valuable. I'm super excited about that class. First time it's being taught this year, and I think that it'll go really well. Obviously, we had a market for it. It's the most full class outside of the tourney food class that everyone basically goes to. So
sure,
I know I've talked to Eric about that. We're both pretty stoked that people are excited for it, and we have some pretty good things in mind for that class. So it should be good.
Right on. What else, Kat?
The other thing I took was what was just mentioned, which is tourney fu.
Nice.
I actually took that for a different reason. I kind of just wanted to see how it was taught. This last year, part of the women's challenge that I did for 2016 was, compete in 6 tournaments. I did 17 by the time that we got into 2017.
Whoa. Let's
and
back
I learned
up a bit. What other challenge is this? This sounds amazing. What is this?
So along with the fitness challenge, I've also started doing a women's challenge for the women in AMP.
Right on.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last year, in January of last year, I challenged all the women in AmpGuard on the House Lioness page and other places to compete in 6 tournaments. I had just, it's basically a Google form, sign up, report how you feel and what you did. And it got a lot of good responses. So for this year, I decided to repeat the challenge, but to do it a little bit differently. I wanted kind of the goal to change each year. So I got off on a tangent and lost my thought. But the part of it is I'm doing a fitness challenge as well as doing a women's challenge, because I think both of those things are really important to improve the game. So for this year, I'm asking the women in AmpGuard to just communicate, to pick a fighting buddy, essentially. You sign up to talk with once a month, just check in. Hey, how you doing? What are you working on? Whatever. I think that kind of interaction, just like how OGN has kind of inspired other fighters to really get into it and push their practice hard, I think having that interaction in the women's community of AmpGuard is important to getting us to the point where we are very competitive with our game.
Yeah, going back to women's MMA, just for a second, I think with the rise of some of the people, some of the athletes that have really come into their own right now, I mean, you're seeing something on a smaller scale right now in Amtgard. Once the UFC specifically really opened up to women's fighting, you have the Ronda Rouseys, the Misha Tates, the Amanda Nunes's, the Holly Holmes, the Joanna Jędrzejczyks, and they prove that stereotypes or all of that was prevalent in the past as to why women weren't fighting and why they shouldn't fight. All those barriers, all those walls are being completely broken down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's amazing. That sounds great. What else do we got here? So you're at Tourney Fu, and I'm sorry I interrupted you there, but you wanted to see how it was run?
Yeah, and also I think I'd benefit from the class. Like I said, I did a bunch of tournaments last year, and I kind of developed my own understanding of how to perform better in tournaments. I think by doing so many, it really dropped the anxiety to a very low level on tournament days. So, you walk in your first tournament, you're super anxious, you're worried about winning your first fight or doing okay. And you let your nerves and your mind kind of get the best of you. By the end of the year, a tournament bout was no thing to me. It wasn't stressful. It wasn't an anxious thing. It wasn't a traumatic experience. It was more, oh, cool, we're doing another tournament. And I think through that change of mindset, I saw a lot of improvement. I went from losing usually the first bout of every bracket to the last 2 tournaments I did back to back were every first fight of the bracket, I won the fight. And that set my mood for the tournament.
Well done.
Yeah. Good job.
Awesome. Any other classes you want to comment on real quick?
No. I think I've taken up too much time already.
That's fine. No worries. So Paul Raymond has a question for you. I don't know if you can see in the comments, but I'm going to read it out loud here. Paul Raymond is one of the guys in Canada, right, James?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's one of the people we're going to go hang out with at the OGN event later this year. Yep. He's the energy behind it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so stoked for that. So he says, Paul Raymond says, hey, Kat, I'm not sure if these questions are open, blah, blah, blah. But he says, I love to see more women fighting, but I still wonder, with every other sport, fighting and team sports, especially when sports get serious, they separate major events to do women versus women. Do you feel that it will eventually be separated like it is in the mainstream sports, or do you feel that women will always have to compete alongside men? I guess in Amtgard specifically is what he's referring to.
Yeah. And it's actually funny because I had a conversation about this particular question or this particular issue with Charles Lassane. We were talking about having a specific women's tournament, only women could enter. And my position on it is I don't think that we should separate the genders for tournament or competitive fighting reasons. I think that my main reason is, yes, other sports do that. But I don't think Amtgard is the type of sport that your gender affects your fighting ability. I think there's definitely some little areas we can improve. There's some differences in how our bodies are composed, but I don't think that it has any bearing on whether you can be a good fighter or you have to be set into another bracket with people of your own gender. So the simplest is, I don't think it should be separated personally. I'm sure there's some people that do feel it should be that way, and they have valid reasons for that. But I don't think that would bring female fighting forward in Amtgard or Dagahir or Belagarth, any of that. I think separating it would just it would be like adding a different tier of respect and what's the word? It would be adding a different level, so it wouldn't, I don't think, as good in the culture's eyes, in the younger culture's eyes, as just flat out winning on a women's tournament. Be like, oh well, it was just only women, and I viewed like that. I think that we are more than capable of competing on an equal playing field with men in this game.
Yeah, and I feel like partly one of the reasons why some people might feel that is simply, not again to harp on women's MMA over and over and over again. And in women's MMA, they do not fight men; they fight women. But I feel like, in regards to MMA and comparable to Amtgard, like we are now starting to develop a vocabulary of how maybe the physiology of the male body can be translated to the female body, and how that levels the playing field. Again, technique is king, right? But it's been, I think, for a very long time, always spoken through a very kind of male perspective, because traditionally males have been a lot more prevalent as far as fighters goes. But as we become more inclusive, females are learning to incorporate that, analyze it, take the truth of that, and if they need to, incorporate it for a different physiology, and it's the same deal, So I mean, I agree. I agree. I don't think that we should be separating female and male, because I think that there's not necessarily a huge difference as far as skill ability. I just think the vocabulary hasn't really been developed until now. Like it's new, it's starting, it's exciting, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. There's no reason to separate it out.
Go ahead, Kat. No, do we lose Kat?
Yeah, we might have a little bit of latency going on. While she's getting it back, I was just saying, like, I don't see any good reason to separate it. In fact, I think that it would be more harmful to female fighting, like Kat was alluding to, if we separated it out.
Agreed.
And, the arguments for doing that would be, antiquated arguments anyway. And instead, we should just work harder to build a culture that supports female fighting as a whole. And, I think we've always been kind of about that through OGN. I like what House Lioness is doing for sure. They've always been really involved in that. So I think as a culture, if we just continue to support that, and we, this positive energy is a relatively new thing in regards to fighting as a nationwide force, I would say, over the last 5-ish years. It used to be, and even some myself, it used to be like, well, just go out there and get good, and that's all people would tell you, fight until you're good, fight hard, whatever. Well, it's helpful, but it's not as helpful as it could be. So, I think as we build our very supportive culture, it will elevate everyone, including female fighters. So I'm not saying, females need some kind of extra support, but I think that as we build a culture that's more supportive, everyone will be more comfortable, and I hope that translates into more female fighters, getting involved and really wanting to jump in and be competitive. That's actually one of my big hopes that I get to see. I think that would be really exciting, actually.
Definitely, Kat. I think you kind of cut out there for a second before you got to say your piece on it. Would you care to repeat that?
As far as women being separated out?
I guess no. I think
Yeah, we caught all that answer.
I was more looking for. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that? Anything that you want to, listening to James and I, anything you want to add to what we're talking about, or
I think the only thing that I would add to that is once I stopped viewing it as a to learn differently because I'm a woman type thing fighting, and once I started working with Jacob was Byron, who is closer to my height, right, a shorter guy. Once I started working with somebody who was close to my height and taught me things for my height rather than just, for a woman, that helped me a lot. So maybe the change in vocabulary needs to happen with, instead of gender, refer to height. Fighting and just upper body strength and fitness level, I think. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, sorry.
No, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, definitely teaching to the body type. I mean, that's something that Dalos just mentioned a little while ago in regards to the dojo, right? I think that's spot on.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I will say that, to my recollection, I had a female squire that was very focused on fighting, and I don't think I ever told her, you're a woman, so you need to do it like this. I told her the same things in general that I would tell Isaac, except for she's shorter maybe, so I would tell her a little bit of different stuff based on height, like you said. But I would never say, I never really bought that whole, the center of gravity stuff is different, so you have to swing differently. I mean, these things are like 6 to 10 ounces, right? They're not that heavy. So I don't think there's not much to that. I would say, when I've taught female fighters, and I have off and on quite a bit, I would tell them just the same stuff. Move your feet more, block with your feet. Right. Those kind of same things that I tell everyone. And I think that, telling a female fighter to fight any differently is counterproductive, in my opinion. And I think Glenn's released a bunch of information on that. And if I recall correctly, like Anna, who's a big female fighter, big into fighting, not a big female fighter, really hates like that women have to fight differently kind of sentiment. So I think I support her in that as well. Like I don't think they should do anything significantly different.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. I have a page that is getting really into fighting, and just in having this conversation, it's like I'm kind of reviewing the way that I've been like instructing her and talking to her about fighting and stuff, and it's already kind of like getting me percolating about how maybe I can better approach certain ideas and stuff like that, and maybe improve upon what my methodology already has been. So yeah, thank you guys for that. That was good. So we're gonna start closing up here since we're coming down to the hour. But Kat, you're somebody who is, again, as we've said, not shy about reaching out, not shy about bringing the community together. Like I said, you're to me, you're one of the OGs of the OGN,
Aww.
And you embody a lot of kind of what we're all about, and you're inspirational in that way. So in reaching out to so many people and reaching out to many different people for advice and critique, I'm curious as to what advice has most resonated with you, or what critique do you feel like you've gotten the most from that you would like to share with other people? Has there ever been one nugget of or one kernel of information that you've really just been like, wow, yeah, that's amazing, that's stunning, I feel like everybody should know that? Anything that's had that kind of impact on you?
Yeah, I feel like there's one particular thing that has really influenced how I am approaching this game, how I'm approaching reaching out to people, how I'm even experiencing life at this. Never, whether you're at the top of your game, the best fighter in the world.
Hold on, Kat.
Always...
I want to make sure everyone can hear this, and you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Would you mind repeating that?
Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes. James,
Okay.
can you hear that all right? Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're good.
You sound good. Okay, cool.
Okay. So I apologize for all the latency issues tonight. I'm on phone internet, so it hasn't been the best for this.
Don't sweat.
The best piece of advice that I have ever gotten, and this was probably again from Byron, is that the learning process never ends. You never reach a point where I'm a warlord now, I'm a sword knight now, I'm the best fighter in the world, I have nothing left to learn. You always have something left to learn. And I think approaching life and fighting that way changes your perspective. It's not about losses. It's not about how you did in a tournament. It's what did you learn? What can you improve on? How can you help other people to improve on things? And I think once you start focusing on that, a lot of the stress kind of melts away of what other people will think about what you're doing, or your own self-doubt or whatever. It's always a learning process. Even if you don't do well, even if you fail, it's something to learn from. Just make sure that you learn from it.
Well said. Well said. Indeed. Thoughts on that, Dalos?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I always try to bring everything back to the journey. And the journey is a funny thing. I referenced a quote not that long ago about martial arts is like climbing a mountain. And you climb and you climb and you climb and you finally get to the top. But then you just see another mountain range, right? And that's the thing. Like, you should continuously be climbing. There's always ways to improve yourself. And if the race is truly with yourself like it should be, then, you're never really done. Until I hang my swords up on the wall, along with the banners of all my fallen enemies, I'm not going to stop improving at this game. So, I'm constantly trying new things and trying to change how I approach situations because there's always room to improve. And I think Kat said it exactly right. Whoever told her that, I think she said Byron, is the big boss. My hat's off to him. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, Byron, great dude out in Tucson. He's one of the wheels. He's Jacob. He's a warlord out there. I think he was actually the first of us to get it, our warlord.
But
fantastic mind for fighting. I hope so. Kat, do you know if he's going to SKBC? I think so, right?
No, he's going, yes.
Ah, right. Awesome.
There you go.
Great guy. Great guy. Huge fight IQ.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely an inspiration and somebody I look up to very much. So, Kat, any closing comments? Anything you want to share?
I'll keep it short and sweet. If you're out there listening and you are a girl, a woman, whatever, if you're interested in fighting, make the first step. Ask questions. Go to a good fighter or just somebody who will fight with you at your park and ask them to show you some stuff. I promise you will not be disappointed by the journey you start from that.
Damn, that's a tattoo. That's not even a t-shirt. That just jumped to tattoo status. I love it. Kat, thank you so much for coming on to Stabchats. Thank you so much for talking to us. You are an inspiration. You're one of the OGs of the OGN.
Thank you for having me.
You motivate me, and I know you motivate the guys out there in Texas. And I hope to see you keep doing it. Stay on that grind, sister.
Yeah, let me echo that sentiment and say that we definitely look at Kat and view Kat. When I was talking about giving away a hoodie that we had, an extra one, everyone's like, well, just give it to Kat. I'm like, I can't give it to Kat. She already bought one. So, everyone here is definitely paying attention to her and how involved that she is. And it's why we thought, Isaac and myself thought that she was the obvious choice to come on with us on the Stabchats and talk to all of you guys, not just as a female fighter, although we definitely covered pieces of that, but as a fighter who's dedicated, who's pushing, and you can tell that she's motivating the people around her to push as well.
Yes.
You know, she could be one of those people that said there's no one around me to fight, because I hear that a lot. And I think Kat's a good example of how not to do this. I think I'm a good example of how not to do this. If you sit on the couch and complain that there's no one to fight, guess what? There will be no one to fight. Noah and I fought by ourselves plenty of times for a couple months on end at times until people started to join. On Monday, we had 20 people at fighter practice. 20.
Nice.
Just to come hang out with us and fight. Now, that's a lot for me. Because I'm supposed to be trying to help people some. But I'm just saying, like, it's easy to say there's no one to fight, no one wants to get motivated with me. Just go out there. Get one person to go with you. Trust me, that'll turn into more and more people. Phoenix is a perfect example of that. You know, the guys in St. Louis are a good example of that.
Yep.
Over here, the people that we get out are great examples of that. And you know what? Those are the people that are active and posting and saying, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Look at my videos. Look what I've done. You know, and of course, we're on video twice a week. So, you know, we're out there doing our thing. But I guess in closing, I'd just like to say, if Kat's an inspiration for anything, and she's an inspiration for a lot of things, but it's that energy where you get out there and get people motivated with you to jump in with you, and then you have people to fight and you have people to get better right alongside of you. And those people turn into the friends that you have, 30 years later because you've been doing this crazy sport. I can say that because it's literally true in my case. So I would say definitely do that. And I think that's it for me. Kat Leg gave her closing thoughts. I think Isaac is done as well. Yeah.
Anything we need to announce, James, regarding the OGN? Anything we got going on?
Yeah, so we'll be live in about 30 minutes when I'm late for fighter practice already, but when I get over there, we'll be in the dojo tonight, and we'll turn on the stream. I might cover a few things. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. I will tell you, even though it'll make you sad, I released a couple dojo-only videos that covered some pretty pimp topics. I might release like some of that out. I'm not sure how much. Again, these guys helped me develop this stuff before we release it to you, so it's nice and polished as we can get it anyway. So we'll have some of that. Look on our page for the Canada thing. We'll be doing this once a month. In fact, the next one should be live from SKBC. That's what we hope to do. So if we can make that happen, Stabchats live from SKBC will be a first and super badass. I might have let it out of the bag early, but I just want you guys all to know. I think that'll be super fun. And I think that's pretty much it. I will say that the beginnings of a shirt are underway. I can tell you the design concept. It'll have a new OGN logo on the front, and on the back, it'll be like a concert. So all the cities that are heavy on the grind that post all the time will be there, and then all the OGN stops. Like we went to Chattanooga for an event, so Chattanooga will be on there. We're going to Canada. Canada's going to be on there. The places that are heavy into fighting that post up all the time, they'll be on there. So you'll be able to see your own spot. If you're posting up and on the grind all the time, you'll see your own spot on your shirt. Yeah, and then I think we'll throw the hashtag on the bottom. Awesome. So it's coming. We should have it available in a couple weeks for order. And, whenever you buy things like that, it helps us. We're going to take the proceeds and look to buy better cameras. We want to get some better stuff for them to use in Santa Fe, as well as some better stuff for us here. We want to film multi-angle instructionals, so ones you can see from the front and the back. So that's kind of why we're looking for better gear to be able to do that, so that you guys can really see what's going on with our instructionals. But that's pretty much it for the moment. Like I said, we'll be back. We'll be back online in like 20 minutes. I'm already late. They're going to be on me for that. But I'll see you guys then. Remember, if you don't join us later, stay awesome to one another. Like, be positive. Keep that positive energy going. The grind is a journey. It's not always easy.
Yeah.
But the more positive energy you put out there, the more positive energy comes back to you. Kat's a shining example of that. We want to thank her for joining us. Isaac's an awesome example of that as well, putting Stabchats out like he has been, and joining myself and the other OGN staff. Sponge joined the OGN staff. He's going to be heavily focused on video quality and website quality. So we should have a website up pretty soon with searchable videos, so you can really find what you're looking for. So that's all I want to announce. I really got to go before my wife gets mad at me because she's waiting on me to get over there so she can leave the dojo. So thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to stay on the grind. Peace.
Stay on that grind, y'all. Peace.